Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ to go. If you want to build your game and learn Jiu-Jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Hi, I'm Professor Mike Martin. I'm a third-degree black belt under Kai Otera. I'm the owner and operator and head instructor at Strong Heart Academy. We're in Phoenix, Arizona at 32nd Street in Union Hills if you want to come check us out. Today I want to talk about the very last of our 21 truths that I came up with. These are things that I think are really important for Jiu-Jitsu and for life. The very last one is strong heart means break your limits. Okay, so I was listening to excerpt of a book about a lady that did research on kids and adults that seemed to be successful. And one of the things she said was grit was the thing. The number one thing was grit. And your ability to overcome obstacles, push through, have diligence through those things. And when I named our school Strong Heart, it took me a long time to come up with this name. And just trying to emphasize that belief system of that true grit belief system. And there are times where it's just very easy to give up, and people say, oh, it's not an option to give up. Well, really, it's the easiest option is to give up. You know, you want the mindset of like, oh, it's not an option, but the truth is it is an option. And your ability to push through those things can make you way more successful than others. You know, the people that can go farther, push more, do more. I've been watching a ton of interviews with Tier 1 operators, they would call them. So Navy SEALs, even the Rangers, Air Force controllers, Delta Force. These guys, one of the things that they all seem to have in common is like they want it more. Like, to pass the qualifications is always about your ability to kind of just push farther. And in these courses, they seem to always, they're going to find your limit and then where you will break. And then will you go a little bit more? And I remember hearing, I actually had a book on one guy years ago, Navy SEAL, and he said his trick was just whenever he needed to go farther, he just would say 10 more seconds. Or 1 more minute. And then it was just 1 more minute or 10 more seconds. Can you go 10 more seconds? Oh, I can go 10 more seconds and 10 more seconds, 10 more seconds. Or 1 more foot. Can I walk 1 more? 10 more steps, 10 more steps. 2 more push-ups, 2 more push-ups. And you just keep adding it. Instead of like this long goal of like, I got to get 18-mile road march or whatever, it's like, hey, can I get to that tree up there? Let's just make it to that tree. And your mind will go, okay, we can make it to the tree. And so much of this is how strong you can be your mind. Sometimes our mind is it's our greatest weapon, and it's also our greatest enemy. And, you know, depending on how you're kind of built, you know, it could be your past or just genetics, is your willingness to do more and go farther, study more, push harder, train harder, those type of things. And so those are important to me, and those are important for me to emphasize, especially to kids. It's one of the greatest lessons I think that I can teach kids is that you can always do more, and whenever you think you can't, you actually have way more. You know, David Goggins had the famous thing, you have like 40% more. You know, whenever you're done, you actually have 40% more, because your body only does what the mind will allow it. There's certain times where your body will shut down, but it's not where your mind says it is, because your mind is trying to, generally it's avoiding pain and the thought of death, okay? And so it's just trying to keep you alive. So pain is not seen as progress, and difficulties are not always seen as progress in your brain. Your brain is like, well, you know, this could lead to death. And so as extreme as that sounds, that's just kind of how our brains are wired to keep us alive for this, you know, however long we've been around. It's a survival mechanism. So, your ability to kind of trick your brain and go, hey, I think, can you go a little more? Can we go 10 more seconds? 10 more seconds. I like to watch the clock when I'm wrestling. When I'm really exhausted, I'll try to go, hey, there's only, one more minute in the match. One more minute. Can you go one more minute? Just push one more minute and try to get to that end. When I'm really exhausted, just we're like, I just let this guy win. Those are the negative thoughts that your brain will talk to you and talk you out of things. So pushing your limits, that's what we're talking about. Strong Heart is about pushing your limits. And I thought about, people say, oh, he has heart. That was my first thing. So I was like, oh, there's Braveheart. Well, I can't call it Braveheart. That was a movie. I'm not going to get the license for that or something like that. But I thought the same kind of concept, like, and then there was a movie, another one, Lionheart. And, but I didn't like Lionheart as much. I did want like strength and the strength of seeing that as a strength, not a weakness. Your ability to go more, do more, and not give up, and not just give up so easily. And so many of us have learned to give up easy. And parents, unfortunately, a lot of modern parents are just very easily okay with their kids quitting things. And it's okay, that you didn't get an A, you got a B, or it's okay you got a C instead of a B. And it's like, nah, it's not okay. Like you could have done it better. We should want more and expect more of our kids, and not crush them for failing, but like, hey, it's okay to fail, but you should have done better, and you can, and I know you can do better. And setting those expectations, and then for me is like I feel is my responsibility as an instructor is like to teach people, hey guys, you can do more than you think you can. And it's a very powerful feeling when you learn that you can go that much farther and break those limits. We set limits and limitations in our mind of what we think is achievable. I've talked about this before, about the 4-minute mile and how they didn't think it was possible, and until one guy did it. And then once the guy did it, like a couple more people did it right away. And so when you set that limit for yourself, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. You're like, well, I can never do that. This is where I'm at. Well, yeah, whether you believe you can or can't, you're right. That's a Henry Ford saying, and I believe it to be true. So, because if you say you can't, you won't go farther than that limit. You set that limit for yourself. You will not go a step farther. And so it's obviously we want to be realistic, but that you can go a little bit farther than the limit you've already set for yourself. And you should know that. Like whatever that limit is, 10 more seconds, 10 more dollars, 5 more steps, 8 more push-ups, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Try a little bit more, push a little bit harder. And this is how growth happens. When you're lifting weights, you're trying to get stronger. But if you never add weight to the bench, if you never add weight, you're just going to be stuck at whatever it is you're stuck at, curling. Oh, I can only curl 10 pounds. I can only curl 20 pounds, 35, whatever. Everyone that can curl 100 pounds, which is an extreme amount of weight, started with less. At one point he was a baby, so you incremental, like small steps increased to get better and better and better. And that's pushing those limits and not setting the limits for yourself. You can set a goal and then you're trying to beat that goal, really. Some people just want to meet the goal. I tend to try to push and surpass my goals. So just in conclusion, it's one of the last things on my list of my 21 truths. It is the last one on my list, and it's just to understand that the name of my school is basically to break your limits. Do more than you think you can. That's having a strong heart. And I'm not alone in and wanting to quit things and not go doing the best I thought I could. But it's a constant reminder for myself and hopefully for others that strong heart. That's what it means, guys. That's what it means. Strong heart, to push yourself, to do more, and to break your limits. Thank you. Peace.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather be the latter. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.